Good evening, dear educators. On behalf of Kriti Prakashan Private Limited, I, Dr. Farzana Shakil Ali, welcome you all to the Learning Journey with Urja Pedagogy Enhancement Program, an initiative of Kriti Prakashan Private Limited. Kriti Prakashan Private Limited is a Lucknow based publishing company which began its operation in the year 2000. Having firm faith in its motto, shaping nations through education, the company has spread its wings of knowledge pan India and abroad during its journey of 21 glorious years. Apart from publishing quality content for children, our vision statement also includes updation of teachers and educators by empowering them through our capacity building trainings and workshops twice a year. Our initiative, Urja Pedagogy Enhancement Program, focuses on empowering educators in teaching pedagogies in alignment with New Education Policy 2020, Learning Outcomes by NCERT, and Bloom's Taxonomy. We are glad to share that our Urja training series for the session 2021-22 has already started on 15th of July 2021, and it will continue till 7th of August, covering all the trainings for teaching pedagogies of various subjects as well as including early childhood care and education. Today we have capacity building workshop on pedagogy of teaching science to the teachers teaching students of primary level, which is now known as foundational stage and preparatory stage as per National Education Policy 2020. If you talk of science, as a science teacher, we need to develop scientific temper in our children. We need to inculcate the skills, scientific skills, attitude, aptitude, everything in our children so that they become critical thinkers, they can analyze things well, they become good observers, they love to experiment, conclude, and to do problem solving on their own. These are the skills basically which we look for in our children, and they get interested in doing lot of research when they grow up. So what I conclude as an educator, because I am from science background, what I conclude that make your class so joyful and interesting that teaching itself, teaching and learning process itself becomes a delight for everyone in the classroom. So, if you want your students to learn, then everyone in the school must continue to learn. This is what I strongly believe in. And as teachers, we are lifelong learners and we must inspire our students to become lifelong learners as well. Today, we have with us Dr. Ritu Vajpayee, Principal, Mantora Public School, Kalyanpur, Kanpur, as our resource person for today's training. Dr. Ritu Vajpayee considers educational institutes as nurseries of the future society since it is them that work upon children at their most impressionable age, influences their formative years, and instills confidence and also molds and shapes their personality. So he has a vision to design the future leaders by nurturing survival skills and ensuring pursuit of excellence in all fields. He has been a CBSE resource person for Center of Excellence Prayagraj, and he has been conducting many training and development programs and workshops for the teachers as well. We welcome you on board, Dr. Ritu Vajpayee, and we look forward to an enriching session from you. And I think all our participants are ready to gain from your knowledge and experiences. Over to you, Dr. Ritu.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Farzana ma'am. Thank you. And I welcome all the participants of this workshop today in this session. What we will be learning in this session, like what is science? Science is study of existence. Does God exist? What exists, what not? This is science. How it exists and how it does not. This is what? Science. Why it exists and why it is not. This is science. So, what we will be learning in this session, some more questions like, some more questions. If suppose a child has science aptitude, then definitely child will be having in his mind the questions like why clouds are black, which of the light is the fastest among the seven colors, why we have two eyes instead of only one, what will be the resulting, what will be the resulting reluctance, okay, color, if red
Dr.
and yellow
Ritu,
color.
Dr. Ritu, please share your presentation. You have
Again,
exited. Mm.
it is
It's
not
not.
visible.
No, no, no. Come back to studio and share.
Was already shared. Okay, so now it is visible for Zana ma'am.
Ah, yes.
Okay, but I cannot process the slide.
Next, just use arrows.
I'm using arrows, but it is not proceeding. I'm using arrows. Farzana ma'am,
Yes, yes, I'm there.
he is using arrows, but it is not. Next slide is not coming. Should I proceed?
Yes, you proceed, but we are unable to see. You can proceed otherwise also, without slides also, if you want.
Now it is
No,
okay.
it's moving. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Continue.
So,
Thank you.
like what I was saying, uh, if we have to explain a child and we have to check whether the child is having science aptitude or not, so these kind of questions will come in the mind of the child, like some of the questions I have already discussed. Now next is, like suppose child must be thinking what will be the resulting, reluctant color if red and yellow color lights are mixed, suppose. Why a helicopter, can be stationary but not an aeroplane? Why reluctant of vectors in a closed figure is zero? Why current is taken as opposite to the movement of electron? Okay, and why goggles are usually black? These kind of questions always come in the mind of the child who is having science aptitude right from the beginning. And as I'm going to take the session today, science, teaching science in 3 to 5. So see, minimum learning level MLL is very much necessary. Like suppose if a teacher is teaching science in her best way in 3 to 5, then definitely children will be achieving minimum learning level when they will be moving towards middle classes. Okay, so like in this session, what will we will be learning? What is science? we will see what is the relevance of studying science, what are the methods of science teaching, what are the advantages and disadvantages of each method. Lesson planning, we will see how we can make best lesson plan in science, and then what kind of subject enrichment activities we can conduct in science teaching, and then how can we assess the child and how can we take the feedback of the students in science teaching. Okay, what is the philosophy of science? Okay, in this session we will see the learning objectives of science, curricular expectations at upper primary and as well as primary stage as well, because we will see whether the child is acquiring minimum learning level or not, and we will see suggestive pedagogical processes for achieving the learning outcomes. Okay, so what is the philosophy of science? Actually, paradigms or assumptions, based on ontology, okay, axiology, ethics, fundamental model, okay, scheme, methodology, and worldview, foundations, implications, scope, and limitations. This is what philosophy of science. If I say that what is, pedagogy includes, pedagogy includes teaching strategy, okay, teaching approaches, because science is a dynamic, expanding body of knowledge covering ever new domains of experiences. Okay, so right pedagogy to adopt in teaching science in primary level, because art of teaching or making things, learn pedagogy revolves what? Around planning, delivering, evaluation of the subject. If these things you would like to do perfectly, then you should know the pedagogy of teaching science. And pedagogy of teaching science, what it includes? Teaching strategies, teaching approaches, teaching methods, teaching models, teaching behaviors, teaching styles, teaching devices, what you are using to make your subject, interactive and more exciting in class. Teaching devices, teaching skills, what are the skills you are adopting, how you are processing teaching science in class, what is your attitude while teaching science in class, and what is the attitude of the children when they are grasping the knowledge which you are going to impart in the class. And then at last, what are the teaching aids you are using. Okay, so people today, they definitely face, with a fast changing world, where the most important skills are flexibility, innovation and creativity, and science include all these three things: flexibility, innovation and creativity. If I talk about, I have discussed philosophy of science. Okay, now if I say what is the psychology of science, so here you need to think what is thinking and how it develops. This is psychology of science. Okay, because psychologists issue, they focus on, cognitive domain and generalized domain. So how I should teach and which method would be better, a teacher or educationist issue is this. If we would like to understand the psychology of science, because if we understand the psychology of the subject, we can deliver it in the best way, in our best way. Okay, so evaluating parameters of scientific knowledge, how to deliver and fix scientific knowledge in learner's mind. This question should be in our mind before entering in the class and before proceeding. Then choice of pedagogical tools, TLM, okay, for encouraging and visualizing scientific knowledge. But both are studied isolation, secondly, from point of view for adults rather than a child. So now see, what a science curriculum, especially like what are the chapters which are same whether you take NCERT book or you take any other reference book for upper primary or primary section. At least these chapters are everywhere, these topics you will get. The first is food, then materials you will get, the word of the living, how things work, moving things, people and ideas, natural phenomena, natural resources. Okay, now teaching science at primary level definitely affects the whole behavior of the child by virtue of enhancing cognitive store, making him aware of affective store, and improving cognitive store also. Okay, so teaching should result in acquisition of knowledge, skills, and attitude. So it is movement from receiving to internalization to automation. Okay, automize they have to. First of all, they have to internalize and then they have to automize. Okay, automatic. It should come. The knowledge should, automatically be converted as per Bloom's taxonomy also, which we are going to discuss in the coming slides. And your content must be delivered effectively to the learner's mind by virtue of pedagogy. And who is best pedagogue? Who is adopting the right pedagogy for the as per the potential, as per the level of the class. See, as we are going to discuss teaching science in 3 to 5, I am just showing, because as I said in the right from the beginning, that MLL, minimum learning level, a child should achieve reaching middle level. So, like, what are the learning outcomes should be there when you teach 3 to 5? With what kind of learning outcome children should reach in middle section? Okay, so I just I have segregated it class wise. Like, suppose in class 6, a child can identify material and organism. Okay, in class 8th he will be able to differentiate. Okay, so in early classes in 3 to 5, what you have to do is you have to explain them well what is material and about materials and organisms. Okay, later on child will be able to differentiate between material and organism. Then child will be able to classify between material and organisms. Okay, when child can classify, then later child can conduct simple investigations to seek answers to queries also. Okay, then child can relate processes and phenomena with causes also. What are the causes of which differentiate between materials and organisms? Then later stage child can explain processes and phenomena. Okay, and then child can write word equation for chemical reactions later on. Okay, so you have to make children capable for the same for the further classes. So if once the child is able to write word equation and chemical reactions, then later child will be able to draw labeled diagrams, flow charts. Okay, and later the child will be able to apply learning of scientific concepts in day-to-day life. Means child can plot, can interpret graphs also. Okay, child can make efforts to protect environment. Then later on child can exhibit values of honesty, objectivity, cooperation, freedom from fear. Okay, in day-to-day life. So if I talk about suggestive pedagogical processes for achieving the learning outcome, okay, so what is pedagogical content knowledge? Actually, knowledge of the discipline, first of all. Okay, then generalized and specific pedagogical knowledge, which leads to pedagogical content knowledge, and then you will be able to make your subject teaching delivery in effective way. Okay, so your pedagogical process, whatever you are going to adopt, it should be according to, so that later children will be able to exhibit creativity. They can present novel ideas, they can design new patterns. Okay, and the pedagogical processes listed whatever are suggestive and intended to give directions to teacher, to design various learning situations, because our all 5 fingers are not same. If you see the fingerprint of 2 students in the class, suppose, it will not be same. If it is not same kind of pedagogy cannot be implemented, with all the students sitting in the class. So what you have to do is you have to make the learner at the level, so that the learner can explore surroundings, can understand natural processes, can understand the phenomena, using his senses, like by seeing, by touching, by tasting, by smelling. Okay, you can pose some questions and you can find answers through reflection also, through discussion. You can design and perform, appropriate activities like role play, debate. You can use ICT also. Use of ICT is very much exciting for the students also. You can analyze recorded data, you can interpret results, and you can draw inference. Okay, because teaching strategies are nothing more, it is just a mental model in our head to attain the objective. Okay, what is your objective? If you have designed properly, then strategy actually is the art and science of directing and controlling the movements and activities of the army, you can say. So if a strategy is good, we can get victory over our enemies. Okay, so like as you are entering in the class with the right strategy, then definitely you can win. Okay, so in teaching, this term is meant set of like decisions to choose an approach, method, technique, and procedure by which objectives of teaching are realized in the class. Okay, like if I talk about here, like some examples, like if I suppose I give, like it is expected that teachers will use locally available material. Okay, like some strategies, what you can take, like suppose I've brought one example of metals and non-metals. Suppose you have to explain this particular topic to the students. Okay, first of all, you should know that what are the learning outcomes of this particular topic. When we will teach this topic in the class, what will be the learning outcome? So the first is child learner will be able to conduct simple investigations. Learner will be able to classify elements into metals and non-metals on the basis of their properties. Learner will be able to explain the process, will be able to draw labeled diagram, will be able to apply learning of scientific concepts in day-to-day life, will be able to exhibit honesty, cooperation, and creativity, and then learner will be able to make effort to keep surroundings clean. Okay, like to teach this particular topic, what are the strategies you can take? Like some strategy, like strategies because are decided by content, curriculum, substance. So what it can be? It can be explanatory, it can be exploratory, it can be confirmatory, it can be constructivism, it can be experiential also, it can be metacognition, or it can be a flipped classroom also. Okay, so these strategies and approaches that we will be discussing in the coming slides. Let's see. Now to begin with, what a conscious attempt a teacher has to take, has like attempt what the teacher will be taking. So like children will be understanding the relevance of social concern. Okay, so they will found their natural place in this example. Like suppose the examples are the concern for people with special needs. You have to see, teacher has to see. Gender discrimination, you have to see, like it happens like whenever like group activities are there in the class, teachers generally do like girls in a group especially in middle section. Okay, children, if they are doing some group activity, they should care for environment. Okay, the approach of particular method, whatever the teaching strategy a teacher is going to adopt, it's the whatever it should be activity based. Students, they are required to construct knowledge from the activities whatever is planned by the teacher. Okay, so first of all, what you have to do is, before starting any group activity, you have to know your student, know your child. KYC. This is not only required in bank. Okay, when bank account is to open, it is required in class also. Know your child. Okay, so what you have to see first of all, whatever is the availability of resources you are having with you is a matter of great concern, because then you have to you should try to manage by taking help of students. Students proved to be one of the greatest resources because students themselves are the greatest resources present in the class. You can plan students' involvement in various activities during teaching learning process. If students involve themselves, this means they have involved in the learning process of science. Okay, so in this given example, whatever efforts have been made to integrate content, pedagogy, and assessment in meaningful way. Okay, now suppose how the teacher will perform the activity, let us see. First of all, the teacher will ask students to recall how they made an electric circuit in their previous class. Okay, then teacher will motivate them to complete a circuit with one of the material which they have collected and some provided by the teacher. So such as iron nail, copper wire, aluminum wire, because if they have to distinguish between metal and non-metal, then these this collection, a teacher has to collect this data from the students. Okay, now teacher will encourage them to record their observations in a table, and they can draw a labeled diagram. Okay, teacher will provide embossed diagram to student to absorb by touching and encourage students to participate in the discussion. Children will start doing the activity in the group of 3 or 4. Then teacher will make sure that groups are heterogeneous in nature with children from different backgrounds and abilities, because it should not be there like suppose we generally segregate our class in 3 sections: high achievers, low achievers, and mediocres. But while conducting these kind of group activities, I think you should not, your group should be heterogeneous. In every group, low achiever, high achiever, and mediocres should be there. Then children can prepare this kind of table. Okay, where iron nail, they will check whether passing the electricity bulb glows or not. In copper wire, electricity passes or not. In aluminum wire, and then students will be able to understand. After the discussion, they could conclude that iron nail, aluminum wire, copper wire, and pencil lead are good conductors of electricity, whereas coal and sulfur, they are poor conductors of electricity. Okay, because here when teacher has started, so teaching approach, first of all, teacher has decided the objective. Always a teacher should set the objective, objective based instruction. Okay, then teacher should individualize the instruction also. Okay, you can use ICT also for making this topic more clear to the children. Like you can, teacher may also allow students to interact with simulation, some videos and animation also. So what would be the learning outcome after conducting this particular conductivity? Teacher will ask the questions to the students: where do you find use of copper and aluminum wires? Can wires be made of coal? So teacher is amazed, will be amazed to see the discussion going on among students. Okay, because learning outcome, when teacher will see, it will be like simple investigations are conducted in the class. Teacher provided explanation. Children are able to draw the label diagram. Okay, so now teacher will see and ask the questions from the students. Can you guess why metallic pans are usually provided with plastic or wooden handle? If not suppose, then what would happen? Okay, so what the children will answer, how students will start discussing about this, Then teacher tries to listen to the discussion going in the class. After having a discussion, they collectively arrive at a conclusion that metals are good conductors of heat. Okay, now once the discussion is over, any particular student, suppose student number 7, comes up with a poem and riddle also, and the poem is here. Okay, what the child has written: I'm 1600 years old. My hometown is in Delhi. My guardian is Chandragupta too. I'm 7 meters tall and my weight is 6.5 tons. Okay, my body is made up of a metal. I'm still standing erect and not turned into a pile of rust. Who am I? Who am I? Okay, like this. So now here I'll see that Bloom's taxonomy. According to the Bloom's taxonomy, everything happened in the class. Okay, first of all, children, what they have done, they remembered the fact. They recognized and recalled the facts. Then they understood the facts, what it means. Then they started applying the facts, rules and concepts and ideas. Okay, then they started breaking down the information into component parts. Then they started judging the value of information or ideas with the examples, what teacher gave in the class. And then later they were able to combine parts to make a new whole. How it is? See, because teacher encouraged student number 7 who read the riddle, loudly, so that student number 1, suppose the student number 1 was visually impaired, so can also participate. Okay, so teacher can motivate other student also to compose poems, song, riddle, etc. So what is the learning outcome? Children are able to apply learning of scientific concepts in day-to-day life. They can exhibit cooperation, creativity, and posing a rhetor. So once students have understood the properties of metals and non-metals, along with their exceptions, exceptions are always there. Teacher can encourage them to do role play, to strengthen the concept in joyful way. She may also show them the video, to know about, like use of ICT at the end. Okay, so here to understand the Bloom's taxonomy well, I've brought one more example for you, because this photosynthesis, okay, is general and it is very interesting to teach, and it is being very interesting for the students also to understand. So here I'm again just explaining Bloom's taxonomy. First of all, child will feel that I can remember facts about the information. Then child will understand I can explain the ideas in the information. Then next stage, child will feel like I can use the information in a new way. Then child will feel I can break down the information to understand it better. Next, child will understand like I can say what I think about the information and back up my opinion. And then at the last stage of creating, child will feel I can use the information to build new ideas. Okay, let us see one more example. One example we have seen on how to differentiate between metals and non-metals. Now next example I have brought of photosynthesis. Let us see. First of all, at first level of knowledge and remembering, the child, the learner, is able to recall and remember whatever the information is learnt. Okay, because in remembering, child is able to describe photosynthesis. Okay, and teacher can ask the child, can you recall the information? What is photosynthesis? Then next level, child will enter into the next level. That is what? Understanding. The learner will grasp the meaning of the information by interpreting and translating what has been learnt. Okay, at the next level, the understanding, the learner grasp the meaning of the information, by interpreting and translating whatever is learned. Then next stage, learner will be able to apply. The learner makes use of information in a context different from the one in which it was learned. Means child is experiencing photosynthesis in different situations. Okay, so now teacher may ask child, can you use the information in another familiar situation? This question will be asked by the teacher to the student. Okay, learner now can break whatever the information is learnt into its parts, to best understanding that information. Because now child can deconstruct photosynthesis. Okay, teacher will ask the child, can you break information into parts to explore understanding and relationships? Now it is time for evaluation. Okay, learner makes decisions based on in-depth reflection, criticism after activities in the class and after assessment. Okay, because whatever teaching approaches we are using in the class to teach, whether the topic metals and non-metals or photosynthesis, because teaching approach is the ideology, is a philosophy based game plan with a start point, with end point, and transition points, in between. So all clearly laid, out as a process or procedure, I can say. So basically divided into three forms: teacher centered, student centered, and content or objective centered, or two ways I can say, like product and process centered, and specific strategies, like suppose always brain based teaching should take place in the class, and open ended instruction should be there in the class, and evidences based teaching is very much helpful in science. Okay, show evidences to the students. Integrated learning is always useful in other subjects also, but evidence based teaching is very much important in the subject science. So now child is able to hypothesize photosynthesis. Teacher will ask, can you justify a decision or course of action? Yes, learner will say now the time is to create at the top level of Bloom's taxonomy. The learner creates new ideas and information using what has been previously learnt. Means now learner can produce good quality of plants. Can you generate new products, ideas, or ways of viewing things? Okay. Now I'll discuss as I was discussing, teaching approaches. So the first approach here, I have what it is, inquiry approach. Okay. While teaching, like first of all, I've given you the example. Okay. Then Bloom's taxonomy. As per Bloom's taxonomy, your approaches should match Bloom's taxonomy. So what is the first approach you can adopt in the class for teaching science? First is inquiry approach. Okay. If you would like to develop in the child the spirit of inquiry, then you can use inquiry approach. Okay. How this approach works? You can start with a puzzling event. Okay. Children will inquire when there are explanations to be given or obtained. So after the puzzling event, whatever is presented to the children, they may ask the teacher, okay, to whom, to you, some questions, and then let them inquire. You may answer the children questions like yes or no also. Okay. After the puzzling event, whatever you have presented to the children, they may ask the teacher some questions. You can give the children the ready-made answers also. Let them inquire. You may answer the children in yes or no, but every approach has some advantages and disadvantages also. What are the advantages of inquiry approach? Children are proactive in the class. They work under your guidance. They learn to formulate hypothesis, and they also to verify the hypothesis. They are trained to learn, but has some disadvantages also. This method is slow and time consuming. Generally we see being the administrator, generally we see in saying teachers in the school that ma'am, we have to complete with the syllabus, and generally teachers prefer lecture method, and sometimes especially lecture demonstration method in class. Other methods, they feel like it is time consuming, and if I ask question, if I adopt for inquiry approach in the class, then definitely what will happen, it will time consuming, because it may happen that children cannot give answer in the suitable whatever answer you predict from them. It is not suitable for the children of all age groups. First of all, it requires practice for teachers also, okay, to teach science. So it is time consuming, and it is always like, and sometimes it may happen like whatever lesson plan you have designed, you may have to see your lesson plan again, and you have to see your course, like suppose weekly plan does not go smoothly as per mentioned in your lesson register. But this method is very good if you would like to make the children proactive. Next is problem solving approach you can have in the class in science teaching. Okay. This approach of teaching science definitely provides children an opportunity to solve scientific problems quite independently, yet they can solve, okay, or through some guided approach and a systematic step they can solve. Okay, so whenever you want to use this approach to teach a science topic, you'll have to start your lesson with a problem. Okay, so the children then will think of some possible solutions of the problem. This is hypothesis based. Okay, to test the hypothesis, what you can do? Children must be engaged in self-study, mutual discussion. Discussion can be learner-learner interaction or teacher-learner interaction also, or some practical work also you can. But again, having some advantages and disadvantages also. Students do their own learning under the guidance of teacher. They learn to propose and structure problems. They learn to collect varied pieces of information relevant to the problem. They learn to formulate hypotheses. They learn to test the hypothesis. It's all okay. Okay. But see the disadvantage. It is again very slow, long and time consuming. Okay. Because suppose you have floated the problem in the class, but children are not able to solve, it is taking time. What you will do, even, teachers, what they do, they ask the question and they themselves give, because it is really time taking when the question answer is coming from the student. that much time if you have, because 40 minutes period you have to manage all the things. So therefore if we always use this approach, we cannot complete the syllabus. Okay, so there is too much emphasis on practical work, which may give a wrong concept of the nature and philosophy of science in general. Okay, now here, if I say that teacher centered approach and child centered approach, okay, generally teachers are teaching in the school in teacher centered approach, but we have to teach in child centered approach. But studies on classroom dynamics revealed that on an average 95% of the time the teacher speaks, and 5% of the time the children are given a chance to speak. So where the children either are given no opportunity to speak or have a very little opportunity to ask questions or interact, this is teacher centered approach of teaching. And like lecture method, okay, lecture demonstration methods, these are the examples of teacher centered approach of teaching. Okay, this is a very effective approach, and generally teachers use this approach. Okay, like suppose in demos, like examples, with examples, if you understand lecture demonstration approach, like reading a thermometer, reading a spring balance, preparing gases like hydrogen and carbon dioxide, salt analysis. Okay, so these kind of like examples can be there, like photosynthesis I've already discussed. Okay, but some innovative teachers, they themselves speak less in the class and give opportunity to the children to speak and do more, and really they are great teachers, you know. They are in those 5%, you know, as studies says. So here child is center of all activities in the classroom, so this approach is called the child centered approach. So while teaching science is by lecture method, lecture demonstration method. Okay, sometimes we show also something, you know, along with the whatever we are teaching by lecture method. So these innovative teachers, they involve their children in interaction through question answer sessions. Okay, that even their lecture and lecture come demonstration method, it becomes, sometimes it can become, you know, child centered also. Sometimes only demonstration method is there. Okay, demonstration means to show. Okay, in lecture method the teacher just talks, but in demonstration method the teacher shows, illustrate, you know, some phenomena, concept or principles. Okay, here like demonstration method can be like a project method also. Like the project method, like here only after showing the demonstration method, like you can involve project method also. After that you can allot some project to be made by the students. Okay, so demonstration, it provides concrete experiences to the students, thus it helps to understand abstract ideas to students. Okay, here some again advantages are there and disadvantages are also there. What are the advantages? There is a possibility of using more sophisticated apparatus which generally students cannot handle in laboratory. Okay, more difficult experiments may be undertaken. Okay, expenses may be minimized compared to laboratory method. Okay, but some disadvantages are also there. All students do not do the experiment with their own hands. It is a substitute for laboratory method. Okay, when the demonstration is complex or there are too many demonstrations in one lesson, okay, so students feel difficulty in understanding the basic concepts. Various details of the apparatus you have to give to the teachers, students. Okay, laboratory method, in this method students perform laboratory experiments by their own hands, you know, and they are being, you know, very excited whenever lab period is there. But again here, you know, some disadvantages, because the teacher goes to different individuals or small groups. Okay, observe them what they are doing, you have to correct them if they are doing something wrong, and teacher is always available, has to be available with the students. Definitely it is learning by doing. Okay, it provides opportunity to handle material by their own hands, it is to learn to follow directions. But disadvantages, more expensive as separate equipments is to be provided. It is difficult to schedule in the school timetable because as double periods are to be provided in 3 to 5, generally double periods are not there. That is in the senior classes, you know, we give double period for the practical, more time consuming, okay, compared to lecture come. So let us sum up. So there are, see, apart from that also many other approaches are there, like discussion method is also there. Okay, heuristic method is also there. Okay, that I have not brought over here because these are the mostly used approaches I have explained. So you should be very much clear how to use different approaches and methods, when to use and why to use. This should be clear to you. Okay, now Lesson planning is very much important in science because nobody understands other than science teacher why teaching science is so hard. When it works, of course teaching science is incredibly rewarding. Science lessons are complex. We are teachers of, like, suppose as compared to lecture language teachers, uh, math teachers, science lessons are definitely, deep. You should be all you students always are asked to think, about the abstract word and suspend many of their logical beliefs. So successful science lessons can lead to successful teachers also. Okay, so there are many ways to plan a science lesson, but one framework I've brought for you. This is the best framework if you would like to make a great plan. Good plans. Many of the, like, I've taken the session on this particular topic only, components of the lesson plan. Okay, so there are good lesson plans also, and bad lesson plans also. So bad lesson plans never let the teacher attain the objective, whatever objective was decided in the beginning of the chapter. So now here is a technique, EPIBA. It is a simple approach to help and scaffold and support science teachers to plan. What it is, let us understand. First of all, what you have to do is you have to think how you can engage the students in the class. Then you have to see what the prior learning already they have. Then how will you introduce your particular topic? How will you build the knowledge? And then later on, what knowledge you have imparted to the students, how can they apply? These 5 points, you have to keep in the mind if you would like to make a good lesson plan, great lesson plan. Okay. Some of the, like here, some tricks also here before subject enrichment activities. I would like to discuss some teaching tricks also. Okay, because techniques, approaches you have seen, but tricks are the specific activities manifested in the classroom that are consistent with a method and therefore in harmony with an approach as well. Okay, so it is also referred to a task or activity which is leading to skillful execution of plans. This is very much. So what you have to see, first of all, you have to see similarities and differences and classification you have to make of your class, first of all, if you would like to engage your children in class. Then you have to choose for best examples and illustrations. Okay, then grouping. What in the group activity, what who are those students which will be those who will be in a particular group, that you have to decide. Then concept mapping you have to do. Okay, then you have to summarize, elaborate, note taking can be there, and mind mapping should be there. Then recognition level. Okay, and then hypothesis setting and testing should be there. Then cognitive acceleration, because until and unless knowledge did not hit on the cognitive domain of the child will not be able to criticize, and if not be able to criticize, then definitely on that level of creating, which is the topmost level of Bloom's taxonomy, child will not be reaching at all. Okay, now subject enrichment activities are definitely give a spot to the learning skills of a child. Okay, learning skills of a child, the child steps into an area of their interest where creativity is unfettered. Okay, so these activities through definitely open plenty of opportunities for the students as a natural extension to their scholastic pursuits. So it is this interest that sustains the enthusiasm of the students. Subject enrichment activities definitely to sustain the enthusiasm of the students, because once the boredom is there in the class and they lack in enthusiasm, okay, then only the teaching becomes ineffective in class. So like suppose some of the experiments you can do in class, expanding ivory soap experiment can be there, 10 minutes homemade butter in a jar can be there, magic milk color explosion can be there, homemade bubble recipe can be there, making crystals with borax and pipe cleaners. These kind of experiments, these are simple and fit for turning grapes into resins. Okay, fizzing colors, baking soda and vinegar experiments you can take in the class. 3 chemical reaction experiments for this is for preschoolers. Okay, so now these activities you are doing, then teacher may also take a planning of any one of the given tasks. Some project work also you can give. they are primary students, 3 to 5. We are we are having the session on the teaching science in 3 to 5, but project work can help them also. Project work in science is usually an organized search. Okay, so because to collect the data and information, it is very much important in science. Okay, some crossword puzzles you can have in the class, because it is very good to engage this particular activity is very good to engage the students in a fun filled and participatory form of teaching learning process. And participation is very much important, because participation leads to, as much as they are involving, you are involving your students, as much as they are participating, they will be accountable also. Okay, they will be more responsible. Science exhibitions, although it is not so, whenever exhibition is planned, at the end of the session or once in a year, then only at that time. Generally what happens, whenever the schools plan for science exhibition, within 1 month, within 1.5 month periods are being shortened. Okay, and then after they are preparing for exhibition projects. I think science exhibition should be planned right from the beginning. Like, it is not nothing much we have to do. Whatever experiments, whatever projects, whatever models they are making throughout the session, that should be exhibited at the end of the session, like we were doing in our school also. Like, whatever in art also, like suppose the whatever is the work of the throughout session, that we exhibit in art exhibition. So in the same way, whatever models, projects the children make through art, but this generally happens, like, it is the problem of storage. If they make big models, so where to store it? And this is the problem coming. That is why, because whenever science exhibitions are there, so generally for 1.5 months and 2 months, too much, like indiscipline is also there, and teaching also learning also hamper, in the schools. Science journals students can make, so the teacher may advise students to maintain a science journal also. Teacher may encourage students to write their experiences, okay, and ideas on daily basis, and they can collect information by consulting resources available to them. Creative writing competition can be there in science. It is not only in language. The purpose of creative writing is to share human imagination, experience, and innovation, like tell a story, poem, like you have seen later on, understanding the metal and non-metal children, as one child has written the poem also. They can make a song also. Okay, so through strong written visuals with an emotional impact. Now, assessment. See, if you have planned properly and your learning objective, whatever was there, that is achieved, then definitely assessment will be wonderful, because assessment is an integral part of instruction. Okay, as it determines whether or not the goals of education are being met. Assessment affects decisions, about grades, placement, advancement, instructional needs, curriculum, and in some cases funding also. So what we have today's students, definitely they need to know not only the basic reading and arithmetic skill, but also skills that will allow them to face a word. So what we are doing, we are preparing the students to face a word later on. Okay, so the assessment should be as per the need of the students, what they require to achieve the new learning goals. Okay, because assessment work definitely provides diagnostic feedback, it helps educators, but assessment should not be like this, like you have taken the test on Monday and you have said I'll show the copies on Saturday, but when Saturday comes, then you say that no copies are not checked, I was busy in some other work, and now I'll show the copies on next Saturday. So this is what actually, see, quick feedback should be there. Okay, test should be like, because assessment helps educators to set standards, to evaluate progress, to relate to a student's progress, and it motivates the performance also. So I think quick feedback you should give. Okay, like you can include what weekly quizzes, you can short MCQ test, okay, group discussions you can have, creating models, doing experiments, monthly test can be there, wrap up question after topic can be there. Okay, but this case which I have discussed, it should not be there. Quick feedback you provide to the students, then only their enthusiasm will be maintained, because quick feedback is to improve learning is very much important if you would like to take your child to a higher level. And positive feedback, if suppose the child does not performed well in any of the assessment way, okay, then to try to give positive feedback, because it helps students build their confidence. Once the confidence is broken, then child can never improve. So do not break the confidence of the child. Be positive. Motivate the child whether performed well or not. Okay. Now you can give these kind of tasks also to the students, like involve community and parents also. So like students can be suggested to visit, with his or her parents, to a blacksmith or a goldsmith where tools or ornaments are made, or school can arrange a visit. We can also, schools can also arrange. Okay, and they can take the students to to the shop of a goldsmith or blacksmith. So a skilled blacksmith or a goldsmith may request to visit. Even they can also come to school. Okay, like one activity. Now the session is about to over, so I'll discuss one activity. Like suppose the children have to understand the key concept what the teacher has. Diversity exists in plant what. Okay, so some learning outcomes you have to maintain first of all. Now, after conducting this particular activity, children will be able to understand diversity exists in plant what. Learner appreciates that and recognizes the diversity of plants in their locality. Learner classifies plants into herbs, shrubs, and trees. Learner measures heights of plants. They will be able to draw level diagram. Will be able to exhibit care and concern for plants, and will be able to exhibit creativity by planning, drawing, and making cards using paper. Will be able to exhibit value of honesty, objectivity and cooperation. Because see, these kind of group activity definitely inculcating good habits also in the students, like honesty. Okay, if they have, suppose they are doing group work in to make a project, then definitely somehow, developing honesty, cooperation, and will be able to discuss and appreciate diversity of plants around the world. Okay, so what a teacher, first of all, like how this a particular activity will be introduced, let us see. So the teacher may introduce the topic of plant through some questions to understand students prior knowledge and lead them to the concept. For example, like suppose whether some plants were small throughout their life and some plants keep growing. So whether the plants were similar or different. So in what ways they were similar or different, whether they thought about the reasons for the similarities or differences. Then teacher will appreciate all the answer. This is very much important. Okay, teacher always wants to listen the right answer. This habit you have to leave. Appreciate all the answers and takes special care to give opportunity to students who are otherwise non-responsive or shy or introvert. Since this is a common topic, they will have no problem to share their views. So after a few discussions on the topic, the teacher will now let the student do the following activities. Teacher will divide the class into groups. Each group may consist of about 5 students each. All the groups are asked to explore their school campus to observe the different plants that grow. In this process, the teacher may give clear instruction to students not to disturb the plants as far as possible and not to uproot the plants, break the stem, or pluck the leaves or flowers. So the teacher may ask the students to observe and note down the different plants based on various categories such as height, whether they grow horizontally on the ground or they climb, on other plants, walls or other structures, etc. Texture of leaves and stems. Okay, flowers, smell, color of flower, stem, and they will come up, with as many different categories as they can think to collect the information. Then students within a group may differ in opinion, okay, about what they observe. They discuss, listen to each other's point of view and come up with a solution. Okay, the teacher may ask the student to prepare a table and fill them. So students, what will they will do? They may be asked to add more columns based on their observation. A table will be given by the teacher, but let them add, give them permission, give them flexibility, so that they can add if any particular column they would like to add in that particular table. Students may also compare their tables with their friends in the groups and discuss. Teacher may note some confusion in grouping trees as shrubs, okay, or trees. Since the plants have not fully grown, the teacher may clarify those confusions. This kind of table is developed and given by the teacher. Plant name, height of fully grown plant. Column 2 is about stem. Column 3, where do the branches appear? And then column 4 is for the category of the plant. Okay. So now children will be able to recognize whether it is a herb, shrub or tree. Okay. The teacher may ask students to compare their observations with other groups. The teacher may also ask different groups, to share their observation, what they have made the observation. And this can also form, part of the assessment. What is the learning outcome after this activity? Learning outcome is appreciates and recognizes the diversity of plants in their locality. Children have appreciated, recognized the diversity of plant. They classified plants into herbs, shrubs, and trees. They measured height of plants. They exhibited care and concern for plants. They exhibited creativity by planning, exhibited values of honesty, objectivity, and cooperation. So this activity may be given as a project, to be done by the students. Okay, so let us sum up. What you have to do is, first of all, what I said in this session, know your child, KYC, know your student. Then pose or encourage questions to the students. Then process skills, whose skills? Students' skills, skills of the students. Then develop learning resources for you, whatever are available. Then write pedagogy to adopt. Then assessment and reflection of the students to be collected by the teacher, and then learning outcome is achieved or not. If yes, reflection of the teacher. If no, then reflection of the teacher will be what? Revisit. Okay, and give some additional inputs. Okay, if learning outcome is not achieved, then you have to give some additional inputs which you have taken before planning this particular lesson. Okay, so I think so many methods are there in teaching science. Science is definitely, a very interesting subject, and so teachers have to update themselves always. Okay, some of the resources for the teachers are available online also, like teachersofIndia.org, cbseshiksha.com, cbseacademic.nic.in, ncrt.nic.in, schoolofelducators.com. Diksha app is there for teachers, because see, don't feel like I'm postgraduate in botany or geology, I'm postgraduate in physics, chemistry, so I'm the best time teacher. See, it's okay, you are highly qualified, but always there is a room for learning. Okay, there should always learning is a lifelong process. Never stop your learning, keep updating yourself. But so many methods you must be knowing for teaching, for making your teaching interactive, but keep adding new ideas also. Be innovative, okay, and be passionate. A teacher should be passionate for teaching in the class. So my conclusion of this session is, classrooms must provide a suitable environment for interaction between students and teachers, so that meaningful learning can take place. You are now facing, during COVID, we are conducting online teaching from home, or sometimes, whatever online teaching we are happening nowadays in the schools. I think online teaching definitely a substitute for traditional teaching. What was happening in the classroom, but cannot compare, cannot be compared, cannot be that much effective, which when physically we were in front of the students. So what you have to do is, the effectiveness of a class depends on the methodology, what the teacher is adopted, and the extent of interactions the teacher plans and holds with the students. So it is of utmost importance to recognize and value each learner, because each and everybody has potential. Never go to your authorities to say, ma'am, this particular child is not doing at all, I've put in my all efforts. Everybody has some potential. You need to because one number of shirt cannot be fit to all the students, cannot be fit for all. Okay, so one kind of teaching methodology or one kind of pedagogy cannot be fit for. So what you have to take care of, you have to, diversity in the class, because diverse kind of intelligence, is present in your class. So you have to give them opportunity to bloom. Okay, so there are various methods which can be used during teaching learning process to sustain the inquisitiveness and interest among students, which may also help in recognizing the abilities of the learners. So teachers may think over their teaching practices, analyzing how concepts were taught and how the practices can be improved or changed for achieving better learning outcomes. So be passionate, be enthusiastic, and try to understand your child. Then only you can give right teaching strategy to the particular child in the class. So thank you, and I hope that you will be adopting these teaching strategies in the class and making science teaching in the class effective, more effective. And you will, because see, I think children, should wait for your period. Like science teacher, science ma'am is coming. Rachna ma'am is about to take science period, so they should wait for that particular period. Then only your success is. If they are, hiding themselves, oh my God, now science period is there, Rachna ma'am will come. Oh, so this is not the success. You can judge yourself. Whether you are a good teacher, great teacher, or not a good teacher. You can judge yourself. If students are willing to attend your class, students are responding in your class, they're giving your answer, then definitely your teaching is going well in the class and you are a great teacher. So instead of being good teacher, be great teacher. So thank you. Farzana ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ritu Vajpayee.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for
Thank you,
such a
ma'am.
wonderful session.
Thank you,
Kriti
ma'am.
Prakashan extends its gratitude to you for sparing your time and enriching all the participants with your great insights. So, thank you. With this, we sign off from today's training program, and God bless everyone. Thank you so
Thank
much.